finally, one more skill that we really want to make sure you have is the ability just to graph something. I'm just going to write something. We want you to be able to graph something. And we can graph something by using a table. If you don't have a graphing calculator, which I hope that you do, because it's required for this course, but even if you don't have a graphing calculator, you can always graph something just by flat out finding x and y values for something and just plotting it. So here's my little example. Say we wanted to graph this. So you'll have a problem that looks something like this. It'll say graph this, it'll say graph y equals x cubed minus 1, and it'll say let x equal -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So when it's doing this, essentially what it wants you to do is it wants you to create an XY table. And when you first learned how to plot things, this is probably how you did it. You got an XY chart and you plotted things by finding what the X values were and what the Y values were. Now it gives you the X's to get started. So you can say, all right, so my X's are -3, 2, all the way down to here. Now what's my Y? Well, my Y is x cubed minus 1. We'll start at the bottom because that's easy. So start at the bottom. Not easy, just easier. I've got 3 cubed minus 1. So if you remember, 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, or 27. 27 minus 1 is 26. Alright, then I've got a 2. So it's 2 cubed minus 1. So I'll go ahead and write it out because I am a fabulous awesomeness person. 2 cubed, multiply 2 by itself 3 times. Okay, 8 minus 1. Alright, then we have 1. So 1 cubed. Now 1 times itself a bazillion times, or any amount of times, it's just 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 cubed minus 1. Now again, if you're bored out of your mind, that's okay. If you're puzzled beyond, oops, that should be puzzling. If you're puzzled beyond all that is reasonable, that's also an important thing to notice because this is not meant to be puzzling. This is mostly meant to be a review. This really should not be new material. That's why I'm kind of just having some fun with it. Alright, so one thing you might not quite remember necessarily is how to do -1 cubed. Remember, -1 times -1 times -1. So that's going to be -1. Negative times a negative is a positive, and a positive times a negative is a negative. So all these cube terms that are negative are going to come out to be negative. So -1 minus 1. And so then we'll have -2 cubed minus 1. And I'll just show you that again. So we've got -2. So -2 times -2 is +4, but then times -2 again is -8. So here it was 8, here it was -8. So we've got -8 minus 1 is -9. And finally we've got -3 cubed minus 1. And that, if we look down here, we can see that's -27. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite that table because it's gotten a little funky looking. I'll write it down here, and then I'll scroll down so you can see it. But that's what I'm doing. -3 goes to -29. -2 goes to -9. -1 goes to -2. 0 to -1. I can spell. There we go. 1, 2, 0. 2 to 7, and then 3 to 26. Alright, so here it is, and my original function was x cubed minus 1. Now we're going to learn later much faster ways to do this even without a calculator. But essentially what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plot these ordered pairs. And and holy cats, I need like a bazillion tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I have a better idea. How about we do this? And I think your book does this too, so I'm not a bad person for introducing it. What we're going to do, and this should be something you should be reasonably familiar with anyway, I'm going to make tick marks that are worth 5. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, and that should be enough. 5, 10, that should be enough. No, wait, that shouldn't be enough. Let's try 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, okay. And if you can't quite remember, you can always mark them. 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on and so forth. Alright, so I've got a point here, -3, 29. So I need to go this way. Now, I'm not going to go all the way over here because that's -15. This is -5, so I'm going to go do. That's about -3. Hey, stop it. That's about -3, and then I'm going to go down 29. So I'm going to go down to right about here. So there's that point. This is going to be a really funny looking graph. Okay. You know, something's feeling strange. I know what's strange is I can't read my own handwriting. Come here. That's supposed to be a 6. In case you were wondering, why did that become a 20? It's because it's not supposed to be. There we go. Okay, so we got -2, -20, no, just -2, -9. -2 is about here, -9 is about here. Why are you doing that to me all the time? -2, -9. Alrighty. Then we've got -1, -2, -1, -2. I've got 0, -1, 0. Hey, I'm going to move that one. 0, -1, 1, 0. Then I've got 2, 7, 2, 7. And 3, 26. Alright, this is a pretty funky looking shape, but I can kind of get the idea what's going on. And on your homework, just so you kind of know, you're either going to be just filling in this chart and then plotting things, but the plots are going to be a lot easier when you have graph paper. This just looks funny because we're trying to do it freehand for our notes. So the last step that you're going to do here is you're going to actually go in and connect. You're not working for me. You're actually going to go in and connect the lines. So I can say, okay, well, my lines are going to go like this. And pretend that goes through. I guess I could fix it. Can you tell that graphing is not my strong suit? That's why I became a mathematician and not a professional point plotter. There you go. Like that. So that's kind of what you're looking to do. And the problem with problems like this is that you'll get halfway through it and totally forget the whole reason you were doing this. So here, for example, the whole reason that we did this is it said, if we go back to our instructions, is it asked us to actually graph this function. So this is the, and we haven't really talked about what a function is, but it asked us to graph this line. This line is y = x cubed minus 1. So if anybody gives you anything, you know, I could give you, y = the square root of x plus 3 minus 6, or y = the square root of x cubed minus 2 plus 1/4 plus pi. You know, I could give you anything like that, and all you would have to do to graph that is to make yourself a little xy chart and find out what the x, given an x value, what the y value is, and if you get enough points, you can get a pretty good idea of what that graph looks like, okay? So that's the reason that we're doing this. Let me give you one more example about why this is kind of important, because for some reason, a lot of people forget what this graph looks like. They say graph y = 5, and we'll let x = -3, -2. All right, so if we say I want to graph y = 5, we'll make our little XY chart. And we'll plug in. All right. Now this is what's interesting about this, is it's asking us to graph y equals 5. If x is 3, what is y? Well, y is 5, right? If x is 2, what is y? Y is 5. You seeing the pattern here? If x is 1, y is 5. If x is 0, y is 5. If x is negative 1. So no matter what x is, y is 5. So the points that we're going to graph, no matter what the x value is, the y value is always and always and always going to be 5. Doop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I go ahead and plot these, -3, -3, 1, 2, 3, up 5. So there's a point at -3, 5. We have a point at -2, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's -2, 5. Then we have -1, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're kind of starting to see what this is going to look like. There's -1, 5, 0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5. So what do all those little points work together to make? They work together to make a straight line. So when you have y equals 5, that means that y is in fact equal to 5, and no matter what x is, x can be anything as long as y equals 5, and that's always going to get you a straight line. So you'll have some practice on your homework messing around with problems like that.